Welcome to it, sports fans. The MKT Show. I am MKT. And we are going to talk sport. It is Thursday, the 22nd of October in the year of our Lord 2020. Cannot wait to get into it. Good evening. Good evening. Great weekend of football coming up. Champions League, of course, just kicked off. We've got Champions League again next week. And hey, here's what's great about the Champions League is they put all of the big teams on one day. So again, another bumper Saturday coming. But I'll touch to you about Chelsea United. I think that really poses an interesting sort of pivot for one team in particular. Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool will have a chat about their situation. Of course, their squad, as I predicted beginning of the season, it's tough. Third season, things aren't always easy. Things aren't always easy. And read an interesting article today. Again, another Englishman saying Harry Kane, world class, and giving his reason. And this particular Englishman I actually know, and he's had a good career. But he's come out and said Harry Kane is world class, and I have to have my say there again. So I'll give you my opinion there. Welcome to it. Be a friend, tell a friend. Like, share, subscribe. Remember to push the like button if you like the show. If you don't like the show, push the down button, unlike, and I don't know, maybe switch this show off and tell everybody never to watch this. That's what I do. But I'm spiteful and immature. So maybe you want to be a bigger person than I am. Maybe you don't. Maybe you don't, people. What can I say about that? Well, good evening. Let's get into it. Man City, Chelsea this weekend. That's huge. That's the game of the weekend. Nowhere near the two best teams. They probably fifth or sixth in terms of the best coached / form teams in the league. Both teams are maybe even slightly further down, sixth or seventh for either side. But here's three talking points that I think are really important this weekend. I think there's definitely one manager who's under more pressure. What you have to say is this. Lampard is going to get a pass this season. And here's the reason why. Last season, he couldn't sign anybody and he made top 4. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer really got saved by lockdown is kind of the narrative, spent 180 million pounds and just, it took Leicester really throwing it away, Sheffield United really throwing it away after lockdown. And let's be honest, Man United getting Marcus Rashford back, getting all of their signings back in lockdown, really that's what got United over the edge. Now that's the narrative that's out there. So it's kind of like they came 4th place, but they needed a pandemic. So Ollie's leash is a little bit tighter because he spent truckloads of money last year. And United fans have kind of ridden the crest of the wave with him. And he's shown signs of, why can't you keep a lid on Martial? We haven't really seen Martial kick on. Rashford kick on. Well, like last year, you set the bar, and now we've dipped again. Feels like we've kind of seen this. So I think the pressure is more on Ollie this season. And this game is big for him because if United lose this game, I think it's gone. It's gone. And you start talking of top 6 again. If United lose this game, that's tough. That's another top 4 rival you've lost to. And that makes it tough to get back into it because we've seen how tight the league is now. It's no longer those days where you can lose to top 4 opponents and think you're going to make top 4. It's tough. As you saw on the weekend, listen, Spurs are real. They're not parking the bus. Everton, real. So you're going to have to find a way, if you're Man United, to at the very least get the draw against Chelsea. And if not, the pressure's on Ollie. Because he spent, it's close to 300 million pounds now. Lampard's going to get the break, the golden boy coming home. Okay, we're still on honeymoon. We can write last season off. We weren't even expecting top 4. You delivered that with no signings. Okay, we're going to give you, Lampard, this season with your own players. They've been injured, pandemic. So it really works out for Lampard as opposed to Ollie. Ollie's leash is tightening. It's getting shorter and shorter and shorter. No Chelsea fan is coming out saying Lampard's got to go. You're already hearing that from United fans. They've seen enough. They've seen money spent and they haven't seen results improve. That's a problem. So number one, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has to win. He is under immense pressure this weekend. United have to, there is no playing counter-attack. They must press the game. And that's tough because Pulisic's back, Ziyech is back, Havertz is starting to settle, and well, Timo Werner is Timo Werner. Having said that, second point, Jorginho is still, to me, I don't understand why Lampard puts himself under the pressure. Jorginho can't retain the ball under pressure. He is not physical when he loses the ball. So he's under pressure, loses the ball, and can't recover. The assist numbers aren't great, and he doesn't give Chelsea ball control in the middle. Doesn't make sense to me. Now, Lampard's going to have to now start justifying because he's got Mason Mount who can occupy that position. He offers you passing, technique, and physicality. He's box to box. Conte, Kovacic, they all offer you dynamism. I think if you saw the Sevilla game, once Kovacic came on, Chelsea are a different team. Chelsea are a different team. You need that dynamism. Sacrifice a little bit of whatever people think Jorginho gives you. I don't think he gives you anything. He doesn't give you game control. He doesn't give you anything. The passing accuracy, because he can't do it under pressure anyway, so it's really useless to me. In the double pivot, for me, it's Conte, Kovacic all day long. I'd even go with, I really want to see Mason Mount in that position. And another one I want to see was former Wigan Player of the Year in the position, Reece James. He was player. So Jorginho is under serious pressure, but it puts Lampard under pressure now. Because again, Jorginho was a problem against Sevilla. Again, he made an error which nearly gave it away. So that's something to watch, is how long can Lampard keep justifying playing Jorginho there? And it's not good enough to keep saying, we should have won, we should be more clinical. You're picking the players, Frank. Let's get this thing going. And Jorginho is clearly not it. I just do not understand it. So Lampard putting himself in a situation there. Listen, if Lampard wants all the glory last year of we got into top 4 and we're delighted with Frank, he's got to take all of the blame for the selection he made. The Jorginho one, for me, a big pressure on Lampard. And I think the biggest and final point I have on this game, and this will tell us everything we need to know going forward. Stop worrying about PSG. They're not a serious football club. No one cares. Thiago Silva left. There's no leadership there. I mean, Kimpembe is the captain. Whatever. That's not a serious football club. They're more interested in the Jordan brand. Instagram stars, Mbappe and Neymar care more about what's happening on social media. The Premier League's unforgiving. It is unforgiving. Man United centre-back situation. Listen, Eric Bailly is what he is now. Stop telling me what a beast he is and when he's fit, he's basically Koulibaly. He's not. The greatest ability is availability. Write him off. If Man United are serious, in January, move on. Sell him for £5 million to China or wherever you can get money for him. The greatest ability is availability. Phil Jones, obviously not part of the plan. He's out. Not even in the Premier League squad. The centre-back thing's a situation now. And we're gonna have to see now is what is the reality there? Because it's Lindelof and who's the other one? Everyone wants to say Maguire. I've seen 2 years now. I'm sorry, I've seen 2 years of what Man United look like with Maguire at the back. It's embarrassing. So he's got to sort that out. Tuanzebe, listen, he's being groomed to be the next captain of Man United. Everything I've read about him, he's 22 though. That's not what I want at centre back. There are very, very few. Outside of Paolo Maldini, there is nobody who has been 20 years old and ready to play centre back in the big time. And nobody's going to tell me there isn't another Paolo Maldini, by the way. There is not. Paolo Maldini from 16 till 40 is a starter at AC Milan. There's no other Paolo Maldini. Forget it. Get the hell out of town. You forget it. That's a situation. And now we have to start saying, Ollie, either you get the players or you learn to coach with the players you've got. Play 3 at the back, play an extra holding mid. Quite frankly, I don't care. You're at Man United. Find a way. The centre-back situation and how Ollie deals with that this weekend will tell you where the season's going. Because quite frankly, I'm a Chelsea fan, but Chelsea aren't great. And if you take 3-4 and it's 4-1, 3-1, you can only survive on Maguire's bad and Lindelof's the problem for so long, is coach your team. Coach your team. So that centre-back situation, I think, is going to be crystal clear this weekend. You expect Pulisic and Werner to test it. Now, Chelsea will leak goals. I don't think it'll be 4-1 if it is, or 3-1 expected. Both teams are awful at the back. Expected 2 or more each from each side. But if Man United aren't careful, I think you have to be honest. A fit Pulisic, a Werner, Ziyech, you got to say that's right up there with Tottenham's attack of Son, Bale, and Kane. You've got to be honest. And I saw what happened there. So it's a huge moment for Man United centre backs this weekend. Can they withstand the pressure, and can they finally just settle? Coach and CBs have to come to the party this weekend. If they don't, could get ugly. Pulisic's back, Werner's back, and he's doing it. Ziyech is there, and I mean, Havertz, we've seen what he's becoming. Big game. Pressure on Oli, pressure on Man United centre-backs, and pressure on Jorginho. I think those are my 3 talking points to look for in the game. In and around there, I think, is where the game will be won and lost. Oli, can you get it right again? You did it against PSG. What's he going to do against Chelsea's front 3? Will he attack Jorginho? If you're Chelsea, how do you protect Jorginho? Lampard has to find a way. Listen, the problem with playing Conte box to box is he deserts midfield, Jorginho left alone, and Man United are a counter-attacking team. We know what the play is. Bruno, edge of his own box, first-time ball, Rashford's running. That's the ball, right? You don't have to be a genius to know what Man United's outlet is. Can Lampard find a way for Jorginho to be physical enough to keep up with the game? Because otherwise, Bruno Fernandes, I tell you what, is going to have the day of his life. And then it's the counter-attack, it's the ball to Rashford, Rashford does his thing, and good night nurse. Interested to see how that goes. So I want to look at the Liverpool situation at the moment. And I'm sorry, I said it last night. You know, there's one thing that really puts me off people in life. Just people in general. People that are victims. Like to a certain extent, right? So this morning I obviously work at a podcast station, and we were on the show with this man over here, and we were talking about bullying. We're talking about bullying this morning. And we all go to certain environments in the world. And I think what's important for people to recognize is that the world isn't always the extremes. It's not just bullying or you're living in nirvana. I was just speaking to somebody about this. Listen, the world, like most of the world, is gray. It's not white or black. Most of life happens in the gray. And within that, really, what I have to say is, unless you are the tiny fraction of society who have clinical depression, I mean, that's a whole different world, and we need to respect that. But unless you're living in that world, or you have life has dealt you a horrible hand, where you were born with, I don't know, maybe a genetic disorder of sorts, a physical disorder of sorts. Now, that is a very tiny niche of society, and we need to be empathetic to that part of society. Now, somebody with one leg isn't being a victim if they're struggling to go upstairs, right? Like, that's a real thing. In life, there are excuses and there are reasons. Like, if I'm somebody in a wheelchair and I need to get up somewhere, I need a ramp. Now, that's not an excuse. I'm not looking for excuses. If I'm in a wheelchair, please put a ramp at your building, put a ramp in a football stadium. I'm human. I'd like to access things. I'd like some human rights, please. That's not an excuse. Somebody with a wheelchair pitching up to a building and saying, hey, I can't get in, is not an excuse. That's a reason. That's a reason. There are a difference between reasons and excuses. What I don't want to hear from Jurgen Klopp is excuses. I'm sorry, he has had everything and has got everything to go and be successful. I don't want to hear Virgil van Dijk's out. I don't want to hear that my goalkeeper's out. I don't want to hear it. Coach your team. Because everybody wants to give glory to people when things are going well. And if you've been in the army, if you've worked in the police, if you've worked in public service, if you've worked in business, you understand when leadership is needed. It's so easy to lead. Listen, in the army, there's a reason why the generals have all the medals. It's not because he hosts the nicest Christmas parties. It's because if he was serving in Iraq and things came down to the wire, he had to make decisions to save human lives. That's why he wears the badges. That's why he wears badges. He doesn't wear the badges because when things are going well, his boat was really clean, his submarines were really clean, or his missiles were really clean. That's not it. His barracks is the cleanest of the lot. No. Leadership and greatness is when things go Horribly wrong. How do you gather the troops? How do you keep most people on board? Jurgen Klopp has to show me that. The great Sir Alex Ferguson, his great strength was, hey, lost David Beckham, who cares? Let's go win more titles. Lost Cristiano Ronaldo, tell you what, no problem. You know what I'm going to do? With Ashley Young as my right back, basically, and an aging Patrice Evra and Rio Ferdinand over the hill, I'm going to win one more title. With Roy Keane out for a season, Roy Keane got a red card for the Champions League final, right? After his performance against Juventus. What happened to Man United in the treble season? Ryan Giggs, hey, red card in that famous FA Cup game. This is 3 days before a Champions League final. Red card. What do Manchester United go and do to win the treble? Ryan Giggs scores the greatest FA Cup goal of all time. 3 days later, no Roy Keane, your leader, your inspiration, your second manager, in the final against a Bayern Munich team that was rolling with Effenberg, Samu Kufor, and the best of the best. Treble. Coach your team. Fergie didn't make excuses. Stop telling me Virgil van Dijk being out. Man United had Roy Keane out and won the treble. They had 10 men in the FA Cup against Arsenal. If you don't know what I'm talking about, because you have to be old to see what I'm talking about, I don't care if you don't support Manchester United. It happened. This is why he was different. This is why he's Sir Alex. Ryan Giggs, listen, Giggs scoring that goal, individual brilliance. But that performance had Ferguson all over it. Hey, we're down to 10 men semi-final against eventually what would be the Invincibles. I don't care, says Fergie. Get out there and you win that. Ryan Giggs scores the goal. It's not even a matter of, oh my goodness, that's the greatest goal I've ever seen. It's, all right, 3 days later, we got to go win the Champions League. We don't even care. Is Ryan Giggs? I expect that. If Jurgen Klopp wants to be considered amongst the creme de la creme, this is the time to show us. Because the rest of them have done it, right? Jose Mourinho went to Inter. He'd lost Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Arguably at the time, Samuel Eto'o was maybe on the down. He got Samuel Eto'o in the trade. Samuel Eto'o played left mid. Jose Mourinho became the first man in Italy to take them to the promised land of a treble. I didn't hear excuses of, oh, I lost Zlatan Ibrahimovic, etc., etc. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Liverpool fans, I do not want to hear it. Because when Jurgen Klopp has everything dead perfect, everybody says he's the greatest. I'm not that guy. Show me now. This is when, go and coach your team. You've still got Mane, you've still got Salah, you've still got Firmino, you've still got Fabinho, you've still got Van Alden, you've still got Henderson, all the players you won with before. I don't want to hear that one player is the backbone of the team. Man United went and beat Bayern Munich in the Champions League final with no Roy Keane. Don't give me that. And don't tell me Virgil van Dijk is Roy Keane. You're dreaming. You are dreaming. If anybody who thinks Virgil van Dijk could tie Roy Keane's boots, is fit to lace Roy Keane's boots, you're dreaming. So Liverpool fans, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear Jurgen Klopp's excuses. I don't want to hear him whinging about no punishment for the Everton goalkeeper. I don't want to hear it. Winners don't make excuses. Winners win, losers lose. I'm sorry. Anybody who's a Liverpool fan and wants to come and whinge to me, Sadio Mane was offside. Accept the technology. Stop crying, because I didn't hear any Liverpool fans crying in the Champions League final when Musa Sissoko, the most ridiculous penalty ever, where it's clearly hit him on the armpit, was given. Where were you then? So don't give me excuses. Don't you dare. Because if you give me excuses for Jurgen Klopp, by the way, fine. Don't call him great. Do not call him great. I don't want to hear it. Carlo Ancelotti went from AC Milan, winner. Real Madrid, huge pressure, Champions League. Bayern Munich, winner. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear excuses. Either you win and you're great, or you lose and you're not. And like I said, if you've worked in the police, not quite sure what the police rankings are, but I imagine there's, I don't know, what are you, like the general of the station? Those guys have been and seen real fire. They've dealt with criminals. They've dealt with drug lords, and they've put teams together, whether it be SWAT teams or whatever it may be. I mean, if you're in the United Kingdom and you've worked in the police stations there, you've dealt with seriously bad people and kept your teams around you and kept women and men alive in real life situations. That's why you earn your rank. So Jurgen Klopp, it's been hunky-dory. I could manage when it's hunky-dory and Sadio Mane is running amok and Mo Salah is getting 30 in a season and Bobby Firmino is out there looking, he's out there looking like he's, I don't know, Robert Lewandowski. Anyone can do it. Now you got Virgil van Dijk out. Show us what you are. Your goalkeeper's injury prone. Show us what you are. Listen, winning and losing is the difference between how much can you get out of your talent versus the talent that's available. Coach, listen, if you need to be more careful with Adrian, you got to play 3 at the back because Adrian isn't that good with the ball at his feet. Do it. Pivot. I don't want to hear that I'm sticking to my ways, and if Adrian can't adjust, oh, well, boo-hoo. Adjust to the reality. If you're smart, if you're the best, you adjust. I don't want to hear it. I'm sorry. If you are a Liverpool fan and you expect empathy from me, you're in the wrong business. In life, there are reasons and there are excuses. I've got no time for excuses. A person in a wheelchair trying to access a building and there's no ramp for them, that's not an excuse. That's a reason. A football manager who has had it all and wants to be called great and has never won a league or cup double and has only won 1 title per season in the last 5 years, he's only got 2 titles, really. Okay. All right. Do you want to be great or do you want to make excuses? The greats don't make excuses, people. Michael Phelps, no excuses. You think Michael Phelps didn't have injuries? Usain Bolt, no excuses. Michael Jordan, no excuses. LeBron James, no excuses. I don't want to hear it. Otherwise, just admit, Jurgen Klopp had a purple patch for 2 years and that's it. Jose Mourinho has had no excuses. Hey, I got Porto. I've got to go away to Manchester United, the greatest dynasty of European football in that decade. It's okay that it's Porto. I'm going to go there and win. And by the way, treble with Porto. No excuses. Mourinho never had excuses. Man United had everything. They had the money, the power. Mourinho had nothing. He had a Deco, Elenichev, Carlos Alberto, Benny McCarthy, people nobody knew about. Nuno Valente, Ricky Carvalho, unknown at that stage. George Costa. These are the names that he had. If you're honest, right now, the names I've just said, you're probably going, outside of Ricardo Carvalho, who? Yes, he had Deco, but this wasn't Barcelona Deco. Mourinho, no excuses. I'm going to come to Old Trafford, done. Hey, Jose Mourinho, you know what he did? He took his Inter Milan team to the best Barcelona team of all time. 10 men, by the way, Inter survive that. They go on to win the treble. No excuses. No excuses. Greatness. So, fine. Fine, you can have the excuse. Van Dijk's out. Our keeper's out. Cool. I just don't want to hear it. Because when policemen and women have to go and deal with a drug bust and the guy jumps out the window, the drug lord actually has extra gunmen there. They don't go, oh, sorry, guys, listen, we'll come back next week if you don't mind. We didn't know that you'd have extra gunmen. No, you adjust on the fly. And I haven't worked in the police. I've read a few stories about what some of these great men and women do. Is if you're there and you're a leader, adjust. Otherwise, you're going to lose 5 people. Because by the way, the other teams aren't waiting around for Liverpool to feel sorry for themselves. Drug dealers don't care what the police's excuses are. If you're there and you muck about and your tactics aren't right and you don't coach your team and you don't put your people in positions to win, you lose lives. Liverpool need to ensure, put your players in positions to win. Van Dijk's out, go 3 at the back. You don't trust Gomez, Matip, go 3 at the back, have Fabinho in the middle. Do whatever you have to do. And lastly, I think, obviously there's the keeper problem. I think now we're going to get to see Trent Alexander-Arnold, Andy Robertson. Are you just auxiliary wingers or can you defend? Because it helps when you have Virgil van Dijk. But now let's see what you really are. I've gone on about it ad infinitum, is adversity shows me your character. Let's see whether Trent Alexander-Arnold is willing to not bomb up every time. Is let me be tactically savvy. All right, we're light at the back. Let me tuck in a little bit. Robertson, instead of flying up and being a flying left winger, let me tuck in a little bit. Let me be more responsible. Can Jurgen Klopp translate that? Are the players that good? Once again, it was hunky-dory, Virgil van Dijk. Virgil van Dijk is like makeup, right? He covered up all the blemishes. Now, Alexander-Arnold, Robertson, we saw 7-2. What happened there? All the goals coming through those channels. So let's keep an eye on that. I give Jurgen Klopp no pass. You know why? When he wins, I give him all the glory. And once again, I think it's always good to use the sort of the military and the police because the stakes are highest there. So I think, and it's hyperbole. I'm not comparing the brave men and women who are facing criminals every day on the streets globally to footballers. Listen, but the analogy, once again, is that if you want to lead, right, is we give you all the glory when things go well. But true leadership is you take all the blame and responsibility when things go wrong. All of it. There is no, oh, well, there was this. I've never led in the police. I've never really been in those high-ranking positions. But I have somebody who is a mentor to me. She puts it like this. She says, and she's extremely successful, far more successful than most people I know, is leadership is this. When we win, it's the team. When we lose, it's me. That's what she always says. So can Jurgen Klopp do that? Can you evolve? Because that was Fergie. Fergie was brilliant at not calling people out. He didn't call players out. When we lose, it's me. When we win, he tells you, oh, Ronaldo's the best. Oh, Gary Neville's the best. He tells you about all these players. When we win, it's the team. When we lose, it's me. Jurgen Klopp, let's see how it goes now because it's been fun. It's been jovial. Honeymoon's over. This is real life now. On the honeymoon, it's nice. It's okay if the lady or your new partner leaves the socks on the floor. 3 years into the relationship, that's not so cute anymore because you're not in the Caribbean on a cruise. Now it's time. Honeymoon's over. Jurgen Klopp, let's see what you got. Let's see what you got. So I just want to finish off on this. And for me, I don't believe in there's British bias. I think the English league is the beauty of it is it's a meritocracy. There's too much money at stake. Nobody is going to play players if they're not good enough. So whenever I hear, oh, there's British bias and Lampard has British bias or rubbish, managers, the job is too precarious to have favoritism. Having said that, I don't want to hear that from Troy Deeney, who I do know personally, by the way. He was at Watford when I was there, and he ran into some personal problems back in the day, but a great guy, a great human being. Having said that, and I did send him a text today after I saw his, I think he was on Talk Sport last night, saying, if Harry Kane was European, we'd consider him world-class. And I said to him, hold the phone. So I'm going to have a phone call with him tomorrow or when he gets some time. Of course, he's got some championship games. I think they might be playing tomorrow, Watford. He said Harry Kane would be considered world-class if he was from the continent. And I'm like, do me a favor. And I said to him, Troy, here's the thing. In team sport, I don't care if you get 1,000 goals. If Harry Kane goes and gets 60 goals this season in the league alone, I don't care. Did you win? Did Tottenham win the league? So for me, in Premier League history, the best example was Jamie Vardy when Leicester went and won the title. So I know what it's like for a player to go and get individual awards and lift everyone around him as well. And in that season, it was Harry Kane versus Jamie Vardy. Now, sometimes, and people in leadership will tell you, sometimes there is that what the French call the je ne sais quoi. You can't quite put your hands or your fingers on it. It's not a tacit thing. But there is that thing that takes people over the top. And Harry, I'm afraid, if you want to be seen the same as Henry, as Drogba, as Lewandowski, as Bale, as Ronaldo, those guys who have crossed the proverbial Rubicon with their teams, and then that's when you become world class. For Harry Kane to separate himself, the individual awards aren't good enough for me. Danny Ings is going to get 23 goals in the league this season if he stays fit. You know that, I know that. Nobody thinks Danny Ings is world class. Quite, be honest. Harry, individual awards are not it. Once again, in the police, if you just do a good job and your paperwork is good, they don't give you the awards. You know why? Is to do proper crime work, I imagine. Now, I don't know this, but you need a team. You need to put your teammates in position to succeed as well. So Harry, I'm afraid winning the golden boot isn't enough. And don't give me he's winning the assist and the goals thing is what happened at 3-0. What happened at 3-0? What did I just say? Is leadership isn't when things are going well. At 3-1, Harry, get the lads together and say, not good enough. Not good enough, let's tighten up. At 3-2, get it together. What does Roy Keane do there? World class. See, world class isn't just ability. There's lots of ability in the world. This is why Paul Pogba is not world class. Because the ability isn't in question. I expect that from you, by the way. And if you want to be at the top, listen, I expect you to do well. Now, to separate yourself, leadership. Leadership is making all of those that are around you better. Make everybody around you play to their ability and beyond. Harry Kane, I'm afraid, until you show me Lewandowski level, Drogba level, Henry level, David Silva, David Villa level, you're just another guy. Because Danny Ings is going to get 23 Premier League goals. You're going to be fighting with Aubameyang and Danny Ings. Is that what you want? Or do you want to win titles? If you want to join the elite, you must do what they do. Give me Sadio Mane any day. World class. If I have to argue with you about whether you're world class or not, you're not world class. You're not. I'm sorry to tell you. And everybody says, oh, he's so underrated. You know what I always say to people? Being underrated is one thing and one thing only. A failure in presentation. If you call yourself, oh, I'm so underrated, boo-hoo, boo-hoo me, learn to present yourself better. That's all the biggest excuse in the world. I'm underrated. It is a failure in presentation. That's it. Put your best foot forward. I don't want to hear it. Tottenham fans, I'm sorry. I'm out on this Harry Kane thing. Until he leads his team to the promised land, just give me a trophy. Give me a trophy. Because Leicester have a title. I've seen that. I've seen Jamie Vardy do it. And I'm afraid that is a sore look for Harry Kane. You cannot tell me Leicester have had anywhere near the resources or the team that Tottenham have had over the last 5 years. And by the way, in that season, Tottenham blew it with so-called world-class Harry Kane. So you had your chance to join the creme de la creme. Harry Kane, you're just another guy to me. You're just another guy to me. Lots of people can put up big numbers. Listen, I'm 9.5% body fat. I don't do empty calories, people. I don't do empty calories. Harry's numbers, don't pad the stats and then tell me you're world class. Don't do it. I don't do empty calories. Get a nice oatmeal breakfast while you're eating chocolate muffins for breakfast. Forget. No empty calories. Results. Deliver. Take your team to the promised land. Like the great captains in the martial world, in the police, in business, school teachers, headmasters and mistresses. They at the top. They got to take the heat and they got to deliver results. For the whole school, by the way. For the entire military. For your entire wing. Harry, you got to deliver for the entire club, not just for yourself. Individuals aren't great. Individualism doesn't make you great. It just doesn't. Usain Bolt, he'll tell you whenever he wins, what does he say? Oh, my team, everybody in the Jamaica squad. Michael Phelps, what does he tell you? My coach. Takes a village. Sorry, Harry. Tottenham fans, I got some bad news for you. If you think that's world class, you're highly mistaken. Because I saw Kevin Phillips, by the way, win the Golden Boot in the league. I saw that. I'm old. I've been watching football since I was 6 years old. There's very little you can tell me about the English Premier League. I saw Kevin Phillips at Sunderland do his thing. I saw James Beattie get, was it 30 in the league? Nobody's going to tell me James Beattie was world class. Nice player. Really nice player. Nobody's telling me Danny Ings is world class. Aubameyang's... Why do you think Real Madrid haven't come for Kane? And anybody who thinks they have, trust me, if Real Madrid want you, they get you. Because they like, because we've seen Bale and Ronaldo. That's a different level. This Harry Kane guy, when it's time to win, what happens there? Looks like there's a block. I'm just telling you what I've seen. Hey, big weekend. The rugby is back, by the way. Rugby Unlocked. We will talk a little bit of rugby tomorrow. We'll talk fantasy football tomorrow. If you've got some questions, put them in the live chat. Remember to push the like button. That's this one. Depending on how you're looking at your computer. I don't know how this shows. Like, share, subscribe, be a friend, tell a friend. We are, if you want to send us suggestions, contact@cliffcentral.com. That is contact@cliffcentral.com, or sport@cliffcentral.com. That is sport@cliffcentral.com. No S on sport. Suggestions, whatever you want to say. What do you want to say about your team? What are you excited about? Rugby, cricket, football. Hey, England are on their way. To all of our friends in the UK, are you going to travel across? I don't think they're taking fans, though, because it's biosecure zones. Sad. And it's one-day cricket. Don't worry about it. But British and Irish Lions, tell me what you're thinking about that. Love to know. We'll start talking more and more about that, and we'll start having more guests from that setup. We've got some people from the British and Irish Lions side. We've got some Springboks. We'll start building up to that as the year ends. So if you've got any comments, please feel free to put them in the live chat. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up with this. We've got George Fritz. Hey, how about that? Here's a man who was in leadership in the police. Maybe I was talking nonsense, or as they might say in England, bollocks about leadership in the police. Here's a man who was, I don't want to reveal what he did in the police, but he was in the leadership and he saw some real-time fire. He told me some great stories, part of the leadership of this team as well. Gusasa Stars, you can go and follow them on Instagram and Facebook. And by the way, big news. Big news. We are the documentary Gusasa Stars has just won an award. Proud to say I was one of the co-writers of the documentary. We won an award today in Ohio at one of the bigger film festivals. So big up to the team. Big up to the Gusasa Stars. Go and check them out on Instagram and social media, of course, all over the place. Listen, I'm not one to tell people what to do with their money, but if you do have, listen, 10 Rand, 5 pounds, whatever you've got to spare. I'm not telling you what to do with your money, but if you are into donating, go and look at the cause, go and check the team out before you donate your money. And if you think it's a cool cause, go and donate. That's how I believe it should be. If you agree with the cause, it's awesome. But I love football, and it's a football club, so I absolutely love the story. So if you've got any comments, put them in the live chat. Otherwise, we'll finish off with George Fretz saying, I reckon Axel and Harry to start. It's a massive game for United, and they cannot afford to lose. George is a massive United fan, by the way. He is a massive sports fan, but real big United. Listen, that delivery from Twanzabe was unbelievable. Now this guy. So I don't know if you guys got to see his clip when they were talking about PSG, and they said, hey, last time I think he played was Colchester. And the reporter was trying to get an answer out of him, one of those clippings he could put in and go and say, ooh, I got this comment out of Twanzabe and he's a young leader or whatever. But he outdid himself. When the reporter tried to say, oh, you're facing Mbappe and Neymar, and oh, that must have been so daunting. He thought he was dealing with just your local riffraff. Twanzabe's answer was pure leadership. Is no, we are the bigger club and we came here for 3 points. And we expected to win. And we did that, but we move on. I thought, yes, Man United. Now, that is somebody who, we are Man United. We will not be bullied. We don't care what people are saying about us. And this is what you've been lacking. You need that bravado. But Twanzabe has been brought up within the cocoon of Manchester United. We are the best, and we will not apologize for it. So for Twanzabe to come and win at PSG as Man United, it was so natural for him. Now, that's awesome. Now, if Man United can bottle some of that young man's leadership, so go and look it up. I think also I saw it on Twitter or on YouTube. Just incredible. And the way he was so natural. Now, that's a United player. Not these, people putting themselves in Pogba and Maguire positions in Mykonos. I'm sorry, that's not United. Man United is, we are the best. You better know it. Get the hell out of our way. And Twanzabe is just saying, we came for 3 points. The fact that we're playing Neymar and Mbappe, they're lucky to play us. In his mind, you're lucky to play Man United. Who's PSG? That's United. So I agree with George there. And it is massive this weekend because people might say, oh, but it's so early in the season. Listen, when things go bad, you had Tottenham 6-1. The worst thing you can do in life is when you have a bad situation is do one thing to make it worse. Your next situation must never make it worse. The worst thing you can do is panic and make it worse. United do this. It's like, okay, against the top 4 rival, you lost 6-1. Listen, let's just say United go and lose 4-0. What do you think the newspapers are going to look like on Monday? because then it's all Pochettino, and then you got another Champions League game on Wednesday, and then it is just, it's like that thick humidity is just going to be sitting around Manchester, right? And you don't need that because you've got young players trying to come through. Rashford has enough going on. Greenwood has enough going on. Martial's struggling. Can Cavani do it? Cavani, listen, he's going to have to settle in. Ollie's going to have to settle that situation down. If I'm Ollie, the very least you can afford is a draw. You lose ugly. Because Ollie, we've invested £200 million in you now over 2 seasons. You had last season to settle the squad, and this was supposed to be the season where you show us what you got. And now you got Lampard, who didn't spend any money last season, and he's got a new squad. And if he comes and embarrasses you, Ollie, what have you been doing the last year and a half? I think that's where it's starting to head, right? Deary, deary me. George Fred, couldn't agree more. Like, share, subscribe. Cliff Central Sport. Cliff C Sport on Twitter. Otherwise, I am MKT Inspires on social media. Rugby this weekend. I can't wait. I got to be honest. I was kind of like the rugby unlocked, but I just love rugby. I love having it back. It is a warrior sport. I don't know what it is. By the way, if you're into the combat sport, this weekend is awesome. Right? Leo Santa Cruz, if you're a boxing guy like I am, there is a great fight. I think Sunday morning, it'll be on at about 6 a.m. South African time. Leo Santa Cruz takes on Javante Tank Davis. That's going to be wild. Justin Gaethje this weekend taking on the Russian bear wrestling maniac. Right? I mean, Khabib is just an animal. That's on this weekend. If you're not salivating about that as a sports fan, I don't know what your life's about. I don't. Combat sport, football, rugby, NFL, it's all happening. With the World Series, by the way, game 1, if you're not into baseball, Mookie Betts, just go and Google that guy. Absolutely, he's the guy. Very rarely in baseball are contracts worth it. The Dodgers have one. Mookie Betts is bringing all of the cool stuff back. Clayton Kershaw, who's had all the doubters, of course, as one of the greatest pitchers he's definitely the best pitcher of the last decade. He struggled in the postseason, but Clayton Kershaw is doing it. The Dodgers Mariners, that's this weekend. If you're a sports fan, this is your weekend. Be safe, stay healthy, be well. I'm MKT. This is the MKT Show. Gareth Cliff, Cliff Central Sport. We are the hell out of here.